Our last alternative theory of recovery and enforcement is the moral obligation with a subsequent promise. And while it's very important for us to recognize that past consideration is not consideration, some courts may nonetheless still enforce a promise supported by past consideration if there is a strong moral obligation to do so and justice so requires. But our starting point rule that we have to recognize, right? Past consideration is not consideration. This doesn't change that. We've talked about past consideration a lot now. In the example I've used, remember, imagine that I'm up giving this lesson and I start to have a heart attack and hit the ground. A student sees this, rushes over, resuscitates me, saves my life, and I'm so grateful that this student has saved my life. I promise to pay him $100 for rendering this life-saving aid to me. Well, we know very well at this point, right? That promise to pay the student $100 for saving my life is not a traditional enforceable contract, right? Because past consideration is not consideration. Promising to pay someone for a benefit that they've already conferred is not consideration. That's past consideration. Because remember, we need a bargained for exchange, which requires reciprocal inducement. The promise must induce the detriment, and the detriment must induce the promise. And in these situations, what's the problem? The promise does not induce the detriment, right? This person didn't even know, right? The student who saves my life, when he took on his detriment of performing this resuscitation or this life-saving aid, right? He took on that detriment, that action he was otherwise not legally obligated to take, right? He wasn't aware of any promise when he did that. He was acting as a good Samaritan, right? So he wasn't aware of any promise when he took on his detriment. Therefore, we cannot, by definition, have a bargain for exchange. Without a bargain for exchange, there is no consideration, which means no traditional enforceable contract, right? And that's our rule. We know that very well. We've talked about it several times. In our last video, we talked about it a little bit, but we talked about it a lot in our consideration video. But the key to recognize here when we're talking about alternative theories, right? Alternative theories of recovery, some courts, and the operative word here is some courts, may still enforce these types of promises if there's a strong moral obligation and justice so requires. Now, there's no hard and fast rule here. There's no elements that we can adhere to. All we have is a bunch of case law. So I've selected the two main cases in this area. Mills v. Wyman kind of establishes the general rule that a moral duty isn't a legal duty, and Webb v. McGowin, and 110 years later, kind of comes along with this idea that sometimes if the moral obligation is strong enough, the promise may still be enforceable if justice so requires, right? So Mills v. Wyman in 1825, what we have here is, and again, I'm going to sum these up very quickly, right? Wyman's adult son falls ill. Mills provides aid to Wyman's son, brings him back to good health. Wyman is grateful, promises to pay Mills a sum of money. The court holds there, and of course, Wyman backs out and never pays Mills. Mills sues Wyman, and the court says, hey, that's past consideration. That's not a traditional enforceable contract, right? We don't have a bargain for exchange, because we have past consideration. Past consideration is not consideration. The court says famously Wyman may have had a moral duty to pay Mills, right? But he had no legal duty because past consideration is not consideration, right? Well, 110 years later, we get Webb v. McGowin. In this case, right, McGowin is an employer of Webb at a sawmill, right? And there's a 75-pound pine block, right, that could probably do a lot of damage to a person. And Webb, and so, by the way, okay, so they're at the sawmill one day, and there's this big block of pine, right, that's 75 pounds, and Webb sees this on the second floor, that this pine block is about to fall and hit McGowin in the head, probably causing serious injury or death, and Webb very heroically rushes over and performs, a maneuver that allows the pine block to just miss McGowin, but in doing so, Webb sustains serious injury himself, right? He becomes permanently injured and is unable to work, right? But McGowin is saved. So McGowin is so grateful that Webb has saved his life, and he understands that Webb isn't able to work anymore because of the injuries he sustained in this heroic, saving maneuver. McGowin promises to pay Webb a bi-weekly sum of money for the rest of Webb's life, right? In lieu of a paycheck, because Webb can't work anymore, he still needs money coming in to support his family. So McGowin offers or promises to pay Webb every 2 weeks a sum of money for the rest of Webb's life. And McGowin actually does this for 8 years, and then McGowin dies, right? So the money stops coming, and the estate refuses to continue upholding the promise. So Webb sues, and we end up with Webb v. McGowin. And here the court reverses a little bit on Mills v. Wyman and says, hey, look, yeah, this might have been past consideration, but because the moral obligation here is so strong, we're going to enforce the promise anyways, right? So they decide for Webb. Okay, and really, the distinctions there between Webb v. McGowin and Mills v. Wyman. Number one, in Webb v. McGowin, we have a situation where there was probably no time to have a bargained for exchange. Thank you so much for watching this video preview of our Legal Education Accelerator Program, or LEAP for short. If you would like to see the conclusion of this video and gain full access to our entire 1L and 2L video library, integrated outlines, streamable audio versions, additional practice exams with explanations, and much more, we invite you to head over to our website and join the thousands of law students who have already enrolled. To get started with your no-risk free trial today, simply click the link in the description box below or visit www.studicata.com/leap.
Hi everyone, my name is Serena and I'm currently a law student at South Texas College of Law, Houston.
Hi everybody, my name is Shiva and I'm currently a law student at Southwestern.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I am a first-year student at South Texas College of Law, Houston. I used the Studicata study video series last semester to help me prepare mostly for contracts, and I actually made an A+ in contracts last semester, which I greatly dedicate to the Studicata videos.
By using Studicata to help me prepare for my final exam, I was able to score the highest grade out of my class on the final and even have my essay distributed as the model answer. Not to mention I had done quite poorly on the midterm and was struggling throughout the whole course of the semester, understanding the material and keeping up with lectures.
Because of the Studicata video lectures, I was able to go into my exams with a feeling of confidence. I didn't have to worry about what the rules of law were or how I was going to organize my answer to an essay question.
I would absolutely recommend the Studicata series and their online course materials to anyone. I think that they are not like professor lectures that you might find online or other outside study materials that you may encounter. I think that the Studicata videos really focus on not only ensuring that you understand the material that you're going to encounter on your final, but they also help you to understand kind of the best method for test taking, and they really break down how to approach each problem and the best ways to tackle certain methods on testing, and I think that's really important, and I think it's really special. I don't see that anywhere else in any of the other online resources that I've found. So I would certainly recommend Studicata to anyone who is studying in law school right now. Good luck on your studying, and you're going to do great.
I would definitely recommend Studicata to anybody watching this video. Give it a chance. I'm positive that you will love it, that you will get a lot out of it, and that you will be happy that you gave it a chance. I definitely am. I know I will be using Studicata in the future.
And I cannot thank Studicata enough for getting me through my first semester of law school. I will definitely continue to watch the Studicata video lectures throughout my law school career. and I highly recommend that any future or current law student do the same.